Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the class of Finance and Banking, class 9 and 10. Today we are going to start chapter 6, Cost of Capital. In our class today we will discuss about concept and importance of cost of capital. Let's start. At first we have to know what the capital is. Capital is the money needed to do business. The source of this capital can be of two types initially: internal source or the owner's equity, and external source or capital borrowed from anywhere. And these sources, like internal sources and external sources, are of two types. Our internal sources are common stock and retained earnings, and our external sources are preferred stock and debt capital. Internal source, common stock is another form of ordinary share capital. You can say common stock and ordinary share capital. Shares are the smallest part of a company's total capital. Any investor can become a shareholder of any company by buying its shares. If someone buys a share of a company, he will be the partial owner of that company. Ordinary shares are the type of shares that can be bought to own the company but have more responsibilities and duties and ultimately the right to distribute capital. They are also called the least shareholders. And the second form of internal source is profit retained from earnings or retained earnings. The company accumulates a portion of the amount of profit earned by the company every year without distributing it among the shareholders as dividends, which is called reserve profit. External sources are preferred share and debt capital. Preferred shares are the shares whose owners enjoy priority in receiving dividends and returning capitals are these types of shares. Preferred shareholders receives dividend at a fixed rate. They also get it fast. The owner of these shares cannot take part in management of the company even if the company receives priority in receiving dividends and return of capital. Debt capital. Borrowing money from someone or an organization to do business is called debt capital. Banks, credit card companies, and financial institutions usually act as lenders. For debt capital agreements, bonds are an ideal source. Those who provide loan capital are the creditors of the organization and they receive regular interest against the loan. They don't get any dividend and they are the outsiders of company. Cost of capital. What is cost of capital? Every fund providers have an expected income from each sources. The organization must earn at least a certain rate if it is to give them the expected income year. This minimum income rate is called the cost of capital. If the funds required for the business are collected from more than one source, then the average rate of capital expenditure of all sources will be considered as cost of capital for that organization. Long-term loans, bonds, debentures, ordinary shares, preferred shares, etc. are various sources of long-term financing. From each such source, the funding provider has an expected income. They want some rate of income against giving the loan, because all these funds providers who are giving money, if they cannot earn from it, then they won't give any more money, and that's why the organization must pay the expected income of the fund providers. In order to provide income, the organization at first have to earn a minimum of this income which they have to spend to earn income. Therefore, The expected income for the fund providers is the cost of capital for the fund receiving organization. Importance of cost of capital. Why we will calculate cost of capital? It is very important to have an idea of cost of capital in making various financial decisions. Cost of capital is applied to everything from choosing the right source of funding to the needs of the organization to evaluating investment opportunities or projects. The first one is investment decision evaluation. Determining which projects to invest in and which projects not to invest in is called investment decision evaluation. The decision to invest in a project that has a high income rate is made by comparing the cost of capital of the organization with the rate of return that can come from the projects in which there is an opportunity to invest. So, at first, deciding where to invest, we have to know cost of capital of the organization. Firm pricing. Firm pricing refers to the current valuation of a company's shares and bonds. And for determining the current value of company's shares and bonds, capital expenditure acts as a required rate of return. Cost of capital and capital expenditure is the same. Determining the loan policy of an organization. Debt policy of an organization means determining how much of the total capital should be raised from the loan. It is easy to get a loan from one of the lowest cost loan sources if you know the cost rate of different loan sources. If a source of debt capital is available at much lower cost, then a large portion of the total capital can be raised through debt. It will reduce our cost of capital and there is a possibility of more profit. Dividend policy determination. Dividend policy refers to the amount of money that a company will distribute as dividends from its net profit and how much money it will save. If you know the cost of different sources of capital, you can easily determine how much money can be distributed as dividends and create a reserve fund with the remaining profit. So, for determining a right dividend policy, knowing the cost of capital is very much important. Generally, the cost of capital raised from four sources is determined. The first one is cost of ordinary share capital or cost of common stock, cost of retained earnings or reserved profits, cost of preferred share or priority share capital, and the last one is cost of debt capital. Also, with the help of these all, total cost of capital or weighted average cost of capital can be determined. In our next classes, we will discuss these cost of capitals respectively. I hope you will understand these topics today we have discussed. Thank you for watching the video.